In the previous lesson, we discussed about the list and also the concept of indexing or slicing. Now, in this lesson, we're going to discuss about the methods in the list. What I mean by methods. So let's say I have my list with me, right? Now for this my list, if I put dot after it and press tab, and there I can see some kind of a functions that is actually I can use on top of my list, which means that list is actually having some predefined methods are already there in the list. I told you before when starting about the list that list is mutable, which means that we can actually change the list. So that's kind of you can use the methods. These methods will help you to change the values in the list. Let's look into the first method, which is append. Okay, so let's do one thing. Let me take a new cell, and here let me take append. The meaning of append is insert any value into the list at the end. So basically at the last position, we are going to insert a value into a list. So let's say I want to append some value data. That's what the value I just want to append there. Now what happens here? So in order to use this, or basically this is what my previous list. Now in order to insert this value at the end, what we can use is we can use the append here, my list.append. And now you have to put the parentheses. And what you can use is that you can use a shortcut key shift tab. And the moment you type the shift tab, and here there is a docstring or the syntax that occurs. And what it says is that append the object at the end of the list. That's what it means. So whatever the value or object that you put there, and it's going to append the value at the end. Now let's say I want to append the value is data here. Now let me print my list after this. And here I go. But previously this is what my function, and this is what at the end. And now here you can see that the data is actually also inserted now. Right? So that's how we can actually append any value into the list at the end. Let me also insert one more value or one more element, is science. And if I print the value of my list, and here we go. So data and science. So which means that we can actually add the n number of values and keep on adding this, and that value is actually appended into my list, and it is also gets saved. So that's what the meaning of this. So whenever you are applying this, it's not only just printing it out, it is also saving it. Okay, that's the meaning of it. Now here we have seen appending only the single values. Now let's say I'm having the multiple values with me. I'm having some values like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, some different values are there with me. And this is the one more list of values that was there, and I want to insert all the values into my list. Then how can we do this? So probably you might think of using my list of, let's say you can use the append and you can use the values, right? And if you execute this, let's say if I print my list, what happens is it inserted the value, but it actually inserted a single element. I'm expecting all the values to be individually inserted, something like this. But what happens is in this case, it inserted a list itself, right? So within the list, I'm having one more list is there. And such kind of list concept is called nested list. So meaning of this is if there is a list within a list is called nested list. Okay, I don't want to create the nested list here. I want to create this value separately. In that case, we have another method is there, which is called extend. So if we take my list dot, and if you see there are a list of options that was there, methods are all there, and you can search for extend here, click on this extend and put parentheses and use shift tab, and this will open the doc string so that you can read what exactly it will do. It's saying that extend the list by appending elements from the literable. Literable means literally it could be a list. So it will append the elements. So let's do one thing. Let me give this list to it. Now let's print my list, and here we go. That's what it means. And what you can notice is that we have all the elements are there. The previously, if I used only the append method, it appended only a single element. That's what it means. So even though within the list you have the multiple element, it doesn't matter. It will only append only the single object. So it'll take this an object and it'll only insert that. Whereas extend will do the different kind of job. It will take the list, it will not insert only the single element. Instead, it will try to append the values into the list. That's what exactly this extend operation will do. Cool, right? So let's also look into the few more methods that was there, like clear. Clear means like it will clear all the values in the list. I'll show you in a while. And what we have next one we have is a copy. So the copy is the name itself. It says like I can create the copy of this list. Let's say I can take the list one, my list one, and I just want to copy all the values into the my list one variable. I can use the copy. Okay, now if I use the my list one here, and this is what you have. I have all the values that was there in the my list. Cool, that's what it means. Now let's say if I take the my list one and if I clear it. So if I use the clear, so which means it will clear all the values in the list. Let's say there it's my list one. Now the my list one becomes empty. That's the meaning of clear. Okay, now let's take one more thing is the count. Okay, what it means the count. Let's look into the syntax of this and try to understand what exactly it's trying to do. And the syntax of the count is return the number of occurrences of the value. Okay, that's a cool thing. What it is saying is that it will count the number of occurrences of the value. For example, so the syntax for that is just we need to provide the value or element. So for example, I want to see how many times the machine has occurred. If I execute this, and this is what it means. It says that there is a one value of the machine. And let's say, what if I have the value 1? I have 2 times. So why it is 2 times? If I print my list, and if I execute this, and it shows the value is 2. The meaning of 2 is because we have the true. And previously, if I remembered that the Boolean value, the true can be treated as 1, and whereas false is treated as 0. So if I count for 0, there will be 1. And even though in the list I don't see any value 0, but actually the false is treated as 0. That's what you have to understand now. Now let's say if I want to count the 2 here, and what happens is that we got only 1. So this is only 1 here. But again, you might wonder like, so here I have a 1 more 2 is there. Then why it is not actually counting it? The answer for you is it will count the element. So this is the element. This is a single element and it will only look for a single element. So for example, here the 2, where the 2 element is present anywhere in the list is what it is trying to search. And in this case, I have only 1 occurrence. So that's the reason I got 1. Okay, so that is the meaning of the count. Let's look into the one more method, which is index. Index is a quite useful operator. So what exactly it means is that if you look into the syntax of that, we have the value, start and stop. Okay. First understand what is the value. The value is, let's say if I give the machine here, which is actually the element that you need to provide. If I give the machine here, it will provide the value is 0. What it means is machine is the 0 index position. And if I give 6 here, and it will give you the number 17th. So the value here is 17. If I give 4, and it's gives me 5. That's correct. Actually, if you see here, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that's the 5th index. But you might also wonder that there is also one more 4 here, right? You have to carefully look into the docstring of it. So basically the definition of the index. It will return the first index of the value. So basically the first means whenever the value the first occurs, and that value or that position is what going to display here. That's the meaning of index. Now you might get a question, what if I are not giving any value? Let's say some dummy value, I just want to find the index. What happens? In this case, I'll throw an error saying that this value, it's called value error, and this value whatever you provided is not in the list. That's what the meaning of this error. So whenever the value does not present, I'll throw an error. So be careful with that. So whenever you're searching for some value, make sure that value is present in the list. Otherwise, it'll throw an error. But however, in the future lessons, we're going to see how to handle this kind of situation. Means how exactly we can accept this exception. Exception means how to accept this error. So we're going to see that in the future lessons. Cool. So that's the meaning of index now. Now let's quickly look into the one more method is insert. We already saw the append. We already saw extend. And there is one more method is index. Index is a quite interesting operator. So here if you look into this is insert the object before the index. So the syntax for that will be mylist insert. We need to provide the index value and object. If you remember, append is something which will insert the value always at the end. But however, if at all you want to insert the value at your desired position, then we can use the insert. Let's say I want to insert some value, let's say at the index position of 1, and the value I just want to insert is some anywhere. That's the value I want to insert at the index position 1. So now if I print my list, and what happens is that this is what you have: machine, anywhere, learning, and so on. Previously it's a machine, learning, and 1, 2, 3, and so on. So using insert, actually insert to the any particular value I want or any particular index position I want, I can easily insert that. That's the meaning of insert. Let's quickly look into the one more method, which is pop. Now we have the pop is, okay, let's look into the pop here. The concept of pop is literally the first in, last out. What I mean is this. So pop will remove and return the item at the index. Okay, the default pop is -1. So what I mean is if I see the index is -1, so which means that if I execute this, and what happens is it'll give me the last value. The last value in the my list is 6, and that's what it's going to print here. But however, it also removing it. That's what it means. It removes that value and return that value, and that's what it means. And whatever the value that is going to remove, it will return here. Now if you print the pop, if you print the my list, you don't see this -6 here. Oh, sorry, we don't see the 6 here. That's what it means. But however, the pop can be any value. You can actually put any value here. By default, the index value is 0. You can take the index and you can put any index value. Let's say I want to remove the index number 1. You can simply do this. Oh. Okay, I think it should be, we just need to provide the value. Yeah, just a value, nothing else. So here now what happens? It removes the anywhere. Print my list. Okay, so that's how we can use the pop here. And similarly, just like the pop, which is actually, we can provide the index number and removing that particular index, we can also use the one more method called remove. The remove is a case where we can remove the specific value. Again, here you can see the remove the specific value. For example, I want to remove this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, something like this. And if I put this value here and if I execute this, it removes that value. If you can print my list and see that that particular nested list is not there here, which means that it will remove that value. What are the value you want? It will remove that. Let's say if at all I want to remove 5. So my list dot remove 5. The meaning of 5 here is that it will remove the value 5 in the list. And always remember, it will always remove the first occurrence of the value. There are 2 5s out there. There is one 5 and there is one more 5 here. It will remove this 5 because this is the first occurrence starting from this position. Now let's execute this and see that there is no 5 here. That's the meaning of this. Let me take one more example, which is reverse. Okay, this is pretty straightforward. Hope you can understand this. The reverse will actually reverse all the values in the list. So see, print my list, and that's what the reverse value it will print here. That's what the reverse values is going to print here. And if you remember that, we can also do the exactly same operation. Basically, it's got actually saved here. But if you remember that colon -1 will also do the reverse operation. Okay, but however, this is not actually saving anything, but here this method will save it. That's the difference between this and this. And let's look into the final method that was there in the list, which is sort. Okay, the name itself says that it will sort the values in an ascending order. And here you can see the syntax is sort the list in ascending order and return none. So if we execute this, we'll get an error, and obviously that's the case because this is the case where we are having the values are there, some objects are there, strings are there. So generally this kind of a scenario, it won't work. Let's say if we have some numbers, some different numbers, something like this, and if you want to sort it, and this will actually sort the values in the ascending order. Okay, sorry, let me first save it. Let's say this is my list 1, and if you sort it, and you can print my list 1, and that's what you can see, you can print the value in the ascending order. And of course, you can also put the descending order also. For that, you can see the reverse is equal to false, right? And there you need to mention, if you want the descending order, set the reverse to true. Now here we go. Now we got the values in the descending order. Just please be careful, like reverse is equal to true is descending order. Reverse is equal to false is ascending order. This is the brief introduction to the list, slicing, and the methods of the list. In the next lesson, we're going to talk more on this. Until then, happy learning.